Have you ever stopped to think about what happens when love and ambition mix in such an intense way that not even the gods can pull them apart? Because that's exactly what happens when Daemon Targaryen sets his eyes on Rhaenyra, and no law, no council, no king in the world can put out that fire. Let me tell you how this wedding happened and why it changes everything. Rhaenyra had been married before to Laenor Valyrian, a political union, cold and calculated, the kind of marriage that existed on paper but never in the heart. And when Laenor dies, the world expects her to behave like a proper widow, to grieve quietly and wait for a new arrangement to be negotiated by the men around her. But Rhaenyra was never that kind of woman, and Daemon was never the kind of man who asks for permission. The two meet on Dragonstone, alone, far from King's Landing, far from the schemes of the Iron Throne. And there, with the sea crashing against the rocks below and two dragons soaring on the horizon, they make a choice that will echo for generations. They get married in secret, in an ancient Valyrian ceremony, with words few still remember and flames that seem to dance as if the dragons themselves were blessing that union. Take a breath and picture that scene for a second. No trumpets, no banquet, no court full of nobles forcing smiles, just the two of them, hands joined, reciting vows in a language few understand, as if the rest of the world simply didn't matter. And that's exactly where the danger lives. Because this marriage isn't just forbidden by custom, it's a veiled declaration of war. Rhaenyra is heir to the Iron Throne. Daemon is her uncle. Their union concentrates an absurd amount of power in a single couple, and that terrifies everyone who spent years trying to control one or the other. Alicent Hightower sees it as a direct threat. The small council swallows hard. The Hightowers begin moving their pieces with even more urgency. But Rhaenyra and Daemon aren't playing the same game as everyone else. They never were. What happens between them goes beyond politics. It's a connection built since she was a child, and he was the rebellious uncle no one knew how to handle. He always saw her as more than a piece on a board, and she always knew that, between the two of them, he was the only one who truly saw her, not as an heir, not as a symbol, but as Rhaenyra. Their forbidden marriage is, at the same time, the most human and the most incendiary act in the entire series, because love like that doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't consult the throne. It doesn't wonder whether it's convenient. It simply happens. And when two Targaryens decide something is going to happen, the entire world stands still watching, with fear, with envy, or with both at the same time. This marriage plants the seed of everything that comes after. Every alliance, every betrayal, every drop of blood spilled in the Dance of the Dragons has a thread that leads back to that night on Dragonstone. A small ceremony, a single flame ignited, and a fire no one can ever put out again. So I'll leave you with this. If a love this powerful was capable of tearing a kingdom in half, what do you think it would have done if it had been accepted from the very beginning?